let's shift over to you, Nina. How's your experience been in Bar Harbor? How has your communication and engagement strategy evolved over the course of the year?
Well, I think like what Dylan and Stephen have been talking about is we have pivoted very quickly also. I guess we were all primed for it. We were all ready to go. We just didn't know how ready we were, which is kind of amazing because why wouldn't we have done this earlier? Because in some regard, it has been so incredibly successful. And staff has been able to be very productive while at home. So there are just many things like that that have been fantastic. We found early on some of our difficulties came in so many different sources of information. People were getting really confused. They didn't know who was responsible for what information. Am I getting this hospital information from the hospital? Am I getting it from the CDC? So people were getting very agitated, asking lots of questions, and really wanting municipal government to step in and kind of help out. And then we did. We started doing formalized updates three times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we became amalgamators of generalized information, which I feel like was huge in terms of creating a little more ease within the community. So, and then at the same time, there was what we call the Down East COVID Task Force, which we are really lucky that we have a genetics lab here, and we also have relations to Wuhan in China because of our genetics laboratory. And then we also have our national park, so we have federal employees, and then so we have this vast number of different circles that work all here in Bar Harbor. So we have cruise ships that were supposedly going to be coming in, and then what's going to happen with the cruise ships? They're all going to bring COVID and disseminate it on our little town, and we'll all die. And so what we had to do was we had to just kind of begin to chunk things and make them consumable. And so then town council met and they made some decisions around, they prevented the cruise ships from coming. That was before the CDC did that. They said, okay, stop, we can't have them here because there's no way our hospital can handle this. So then we began to have some forums where we had what I call heads of state. So we had our people from the national park, we had people from town government, from the library, from the school, and we collected everybody in one place so that then in a Zoom format, a Zoom webinar format, so that people could get their questions answered all in one place. And I think that helped a lot. We had a huge turnout for that, greater than any forum I've run in person. We typically have 3 or 4 forums a year to talk about big issues. And I think this one of our latest was probably double in the Zoom webinar format. So that felt really successful. I'm trying to think, in addition to all this, we can't discount what happened with the Black Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter movement, and how that created a whole nother level of conversation that needed to happen at the same time that we were dealing with COVID. At the same time, we were trying to figure out how do we have our town meeting, because then we were having some marches in the streets, we were having collections of people. How do we handle this? What do our police do? And so there was a lot of interdepartmental communication having to happen, and then also communicating back to the state, what's happening with our COVID violations, if we allow people to group up, is our municipality going to get in trouble? How do we do this safely? And so I think what happened was, I guess I always try to imagine it like the wheels on a clock or on a watch. And so what the communication was, rather than just having circles, it's like the communication becomes the prongs that enable all of these things to work together. And I feel like that was probably the one of the best things that could have happened, is just amalgamizing that information and having those heads of state type forums. And that kind of enabled everything to move quite a bit more smoothly for us.
That's really interesting. And what a smart move to pull all your community leadership together to help the residents just connect with anybody they need to get connected with at one fell swoop. Nina, one of the interesting things that you shared with me earlier, and maybe you can just talk about it, how it fits into the engagement world, is in addition to Bar Harbor just being a beautiful place to be, businesses that were closed over the winter and wanting to open up in the spring clearly were impacted because that's their money-making time, right? And now all of a sudden COVID has impacted them significantly. How did you deal with your business community and helping them to kind of make it through the summer?
You know, I love that question. Um, I think the biggest thing that we did was we ended up getting some money from the state through the CARES Act, and we developed a mask program. And the mask program did two things. Basically, very early on, we were early adopters of masking. And so as soon as July hit and our governor allowed us to open for business, um, the businesses were ready to go with masks. The Chamber of Commerce and the municipality and the state kind of all worked together along with the Down East COVID Task Force. And we all came in and we decided this is how we're going to do it. We had asymptomatic testing programs set up at the same time. And so then we were able to open, and we out of, let's see, I think there were something like 2,000 tests performed through our asymptomatic testing program and of hospitality workers. By and large, we came back with not one of our staff members